Now it's time for Movie Friends with your hosts Michelle and Seth. We're talking film without pretension. We're finding cats that are unexpected. We'll watch a movie, film, or schmovie. And we want you to join our journey. So subscribe and share this podcast, or this might just be the last of the Movie Friends. We're movie friends. We want to be your movie friends.
Hey, welcome to Movie Friends. I'm here with my friend Seth Vargas, who is a man with a heart of gold.
And I'm here with my friend Michelle Rubenstein, who could only find work as a taxi cab driver.
How are you, Seth?
A fate worse
What's
than
going
death,
on?
apparently.
Imagine being a taxi cab driver.
Oh, I would love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gave me a lot of thought when I was going through my taxi phase when I was watching Taxi. I was
Okay.
like, oh, lots of stories you would gather if you were a cabbie.
Yes. You know, I would not be the type of person, if you get in my cab, I'd be, hey, where you going? What are you doing? No, you know. But if they wanted to talk, I would talk.
Oh, it's so funny you say that.
Mm-hmm.
When Aunt and I were in Chicago back in November, we took an Uber. And sometimes I get maybe all Uber drivers have this, but you can select if you want the AC on, if you want a talker, if you want it to be quiet, music, whatever. I think I chose talker by accident. And this guy talked the entire time. And it was great for Aunt because they just talked about broy things like Bitcoin and
Sure.
stocks and stuff. But you could tell, like, every time it got quiet, he was like, so, what do you think of? And I was like, did I choose the talker option?
Right. And he felt the need to keep
He
that
felt
going.
the need to provide. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no thing. I mean, no, I wouldn't want to be an Uber,
Yeah, I know.
Whistle with your fingers.
Was that your attempt?
Well, like, okay, so I've never known how to do this.
Me neither. How do you do it?
If you're listening to this, Michelle and I are just putting our fingers in our mouths at various shapes. No, I can't. Okay. I imagine you just do that. But no, I can't. I've never been able to do that. That taxi cab.
I know. So cool.
Yeah. Anyway, what's going on?
What's going on? I got a mammogram today.
Oh, very good.
That was.
How old are you now?
I will be 38 next week.
Right, so that's important.
It is important, and I'm not going to get into logistics because I've been fighting with insurance over this. But while I was getting my mammo/sonogram, I plugged Movie Friends and all of my teen drama podcasts. Because never pass up the opportunity to plug.
So as they were flattening you,
as they were like lubing up my boob.
You know what this reminds me of?
You know, to listen to podcasts.
You know when the aspect ratio changes on a film?
Okay. Yeah. So that's what's going on over here.
And it is important. Men too.
Yeah.
It's important to check, when you're in the shower, lift your head up. It's easy to do as you're washing your pits out. Just check for lumps because men can get breast cancer.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
What's going on with you?
What's going on with me? I feel like something happened this week.
Well, you shaved your head, so you're real naked.
I shaved my head, trimmed my beard way down. There's a...
I wish our patrons or just our friends who view us if you guys could have seen when I entered the virtual room too.
Yeah. So I'm pretty bald on top, right? So if I let my hair grow out, it's close to George Costanza, but like there's a little bit there. So it's not the perfect, bald top, right? So I don't grow my sides out. I try to keep my hair really short. Plus, with my job, it's just easier to keep your hair real short. And because I cut my own hair, because I don't want to spend money ever, I just kind of do the whole thing with one attachment. So my beard right now is like real loser guy length. You know what I mean?
It's short.
It's
Tight.
it's like a breath of a beard. It's like it's barely there.
It's a whisper.
Yeah. It will be fine in like 2 days. So
Sure.
really I should have done this a few days ago.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm all showered up. This is like the first ever Seth showered movie friends. So if I seem like I've got a pep in my step, normally I'm just like coming home from work, furiously typing my notes, and then hopping on. But this time change, I feel like I've got all the time in the world.
Really? Because it's kicking my butt.
Oh, it's kicking my... I mean, I've been waking up at 4:30 in the morning.
What?
Yeah. It's really thrown me off.
But that's like really
I know.
3:30 in the morning.
I know. I know. It's really messing me up. Anyway. We got an email. Subject line is Vampire's Kiss.
Remember
What a
that?
journey.
Remember Vampire's Kiss?
What a Nick Cage journey we've been going on, man.
Certainly.
Email says, the producer connection with Mitch is so cool. This is referring to Michelle.
Yeah, I did website work, VA work for Barbara Zipper.
Right, who was a producer on Vampire's Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
I have never been more shook listening to this show than when she tells the yogurt on the toes story. I would do a bug back, which that was my recommendation instead of a pickleback. What an insane half-star review. Cage is one of our greatest actors. P.S. So weird that you bring up Salinger, as I just watched a documentary about him. We live in a simulation. P.S.S. You've convinced me to watch this a second time. Okay.
Wow.
And P.S.S.S. 4-star movie for me. And that email's from Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
We had a simulation moment this week. You and I recorded an episode on Seventh Heaven, the final episode of our Seventh Heaven series.
Yeah.
And you asked me about nicknames.
Yes.
And I said how I've never really had a nickname. And then I said, well, at one point, some people did call me Seti Wap back when the rapper Fetty Wap was popular. And you, what was it?
Yeah, on my time hop, it was a saved conversation with Yumi and Krista. Oh, no, Yumi and Andrew. And it was saying, like, tell Andrew I said, what's up? And a guy we used to work with's voice signed Seti Wap.
Yeah.
What the heck? How could that pop up for me on Sunday and then we talk about it?
And we could record it Sunday morning, so it was only like an hour or so, right?
Yeah.
I'm imagining.
And
Isn't
I've
that weird?
Never heard Seti Wap before. Like, of course, I didn't store that. I don't,
Yeah.
It was like 2 years ago that text
it's a sign to bring it back. I need to start signing off on Movie Friends as Seti Wap.
Oh, this is where this was going?
I don't know. I mean, what else could it be?
Okay, we could take it as a sign. I love signs, and I'll make anything into a sign.
You ever see the movie Signs?
That's the one with like the tinfoil on the heads?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's great. Okay.
I'd be into revisiting it.
I don't know what Fetty Wap means, so if I'm saying something that means something weird, I apologize. But Seti Wap, that could be anything.
Anything. So this is your long way of trying to make Seti Wap a thing.
Yeah, I think 2025 is the year that we make Seti Wap a thing.
I don't know if I can call you Seti Wap.
Try it out.
I could call you Seti Mop.
Okay. Hey, if you want to be like Ben, send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Subject line, Seti Mop.
Well, before we get into our discussion on It Could Happen to You, we're going to guess and write down what we think the other one is going to rate this movie. And this year, we're competing for pickles.
And now this one, we haven't talked about at all, I don't think.
No, we haven't.
Not a flicker of a nothing.
Nothing.
But I do know this is your pick, and this is like a childhood movie. So I've got that like ruminating. And the whole time I'm watching the movie, I'm like, is this a 3-star Michelle movie? You know what I mean? So
Totally. So we'll see if you get it, because you are on a winning streak.
I am.
Of guessing my ratings. Okay.
I'm locked in.
I'm also locked in.
All right, cool.
And so just quick, so the people know the pickle tally. I believe I won 3 and Seth has won 5. Is that correct, Seth?
I think so. We might be forgetting pickles
Like, at
somewhere.
some point, does it all just not matter and we could just, like, fudge the numbers a little bit?
Well, you know what I thought about? I was like, I mean, we are in March, or about midway through March. That's close to a pickle a month. Like, we're not like overwhelming ourselves, because I was like, what if at the end of this year, like, I'm gonna hand Michelle like 47 pickles?
Oh, it's
That
a
is a
jar. It's a jar of pickles.
lot of pickles.
But,
Yeah.
like, I'd gladly accept.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
All right. So, we're talking about It Could Happen to You from 1994. And like Seth said, yes, this is my pick for Cage March.
Mm-hmm.
It's directed by Andrew Bergman, written by Jane Anderson, cinematography by Caleb Deschanel, composed by Carter Burwell, edited by Barry Malkin, and costume design by Julie Weiss. Starring Nicolas Cage, Brigit Fonda, Rosie Perez, Wendell Pierce, Isaac Hayes, and Stanley Tucci. Seth, you want to read us our summary?
Absolutely. Charlie is a kind-hearted cop who doesn't have enough money for a tip, so he makes an unusual deal with a struggling waitress named Yvonne. If his lottery ticket wins, he'll split the prize with her. When he actually wins $4 million, he keeps his promise, much to the dismay of his wife. As the unexpected fortune brings chaos, Charlie and Yvonne discover that kindness, not money, is what truly changes lives, and you never know when it could happen to you.
Very nice, Seth. Do you play Lotto?
Sometimes I do. I like to pay cash for gas. So, as I'm walking in, if it's like, Mega Millions is $800 million or whatever, I'll be like, hey, you know what? Give me one of those. Sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never been drawn to it.
Me either. And like, I would say that that's definitely like a recent thing. But I feel like it's like, okay, I'm not really spending money if I play the lottery once a month, or like when it gets to like a huge prize, right? It's a few dollars. I would have spent that on a hot dog,
Sure. Yeah, I grew up with scratch offs. So
Okay.
every Christmas in our stockings or birthday cards, there's
Mm,
always scratch offs. And so those I'll play. I don't necessarily buy them for myself.
yeah.
Aunt loves playing Lotto.
Oh, okay.
And him and the guys, they buy a huge roll of scratch offs. Yeah, they spend a lot of money and
You
they
can buy a
scratch. You
roll?
could buy it's ridiculous. I'm like, what a waste of money, because you know what? They never win a lot.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
also likes to gamble too at the casino. I'm not a gambler either. I'm like, I don't have money to lose.
I think that there's a few ways of looking at it. One is, if you're really good at poker, is it really gambling? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
at
right.
that point, you're competing for money, and yes, you have to put money in, but it's really a test of your skill. It's not
Yeah.
pure luck at that point. Slots, yes, that's luck and random, but like, let's say you and I were like, hey, let's go to this casino and we're gonna spend like $30 each, and you play and you have fun. What's the difference between that and like going to see a movie or doing something else and spending your money on it?
That's true.
I've only been to a casino once, and I was like, I'll never go back here. This is like the most evil place that I have ever
It's
been.
so depressing, right? There's no
It
clocks,
was,
no windows, smells like smoke.
yeah, I'm not the type of person to be like, ooh, the vibe in this room is but the vibe in the casino, I was not part. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Like, it just, plus I have a very addictive personality, and so I have to be careful about, it's like why I probably never got into like substances really, or gambling, because I would definitely be the type of person who's like, I can do this, I can do it, I
Yeah.
figured it out.
Yeah.
But
So, like I said, this is my pick
mhm.
for Nicolas Cage month here on Movie Friends. And I'm so curious. You sit down to watch this, you kind of know a little bit what it's about. You kind of know we're going into a rom com.
Yeah.
This is definitely a different performance from Nicolas Cage than what we've seen.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So tell me, how did it go? What was your viewing like?
Yeah, so I said it at the beginning that I'm doing my own Nicolas Cage thing this
Yeah.
month,
How's it
which
going?
I'm calling Engage Cage. And my goal was to watch 25 new to me Nicolas Cage movies while we're doing this series. It's going great. I think I'm up to like 15 or 16 movies, and then I've been watching like little documentaries that he's in, or like making of, like just little nonsense things. And so I'm getting this wide range of performances and ages, and I was really excited to watch this one because I haven't seen it before. And you explained that you thought that this was a movie that your family watched growing up. And then when you asked your mom and sister, they were like, no, we have no idea what you're talking about. So that was even funnier to me, imagining like 7-year-old Michelle like sitting on the floor being like, oh, Muriel. Oh,
Well, not
no.
only that, but just quoting Muriel all the time. The
Mm-hmm.
amount of times in my vernacular I would say, "You got the numbers wrong," just to say it. Just to say it.
Yeah, so that was very funny to me. And then I was also like curious about where the movie would kind of get weird, and it kind of never does. And like Cage is so reserved and so nice. You know, I saw one person compare him to like Jimmy Stewart.
Hmm.
And okay, so yeah, I'm beating around the bush. So I sit down to watch this, and we start out, and Isaac Hayes is like, "Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes. And here's a story," right? I knew going into it that it was about a cop and a waitress and a lottery ticket, and that they win the lottery. I wasn't fully certain that this was going to be romantic. I thought maybe this would be more like a zany, madcappy kind of like antics movie, and it's not that at all. It's like incredibly straightforward, very very earnest, very funny, like really funny movie. But I really enjoyed it. Like I thought that it was good, and it was enjoyable in the context of what we're doing. Like if
Yeah.
I just threw it on one day, um, I would be like, okay, yeah, that was a competently made movie. It didn't really challenge me in any way, but okay. But because we're doing Cage Month, I was like, this is fascinating to me. Like so fascinating. And it feels like a bit of a flex
Mm.
from Cage, where he's like, yeah, I can be a leading man. I
Yeah.
have that. I have that tool bag too. I could do this, and this movie made money. You
Yeah.
know, so it wasn't like people were like, "Boo, we don't want love interest Nicolas Cage." People wanted it. They showed up for this movie.
Yeah, it's totally
Um,
believable.
yeah, and then it gets to the end, which we can discuss later, and I'm just crying.
No.
Oh yeah, of course. You're not crying at the end?
We'll save it for the end.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll save that for the end. So I guess my this movie is good experience for 90% of it became a, oh, I like this movie at the end, because they got me in
Wow.
the end. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow. Did you know that this was based on a true story?
I did not when I watched it. I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a woman named Phyllis Penzo was a waitress at a
Mm-hmm.
pizzeria in Yonkers. And Officer Robert Cunningham was a police officer that not only frequented the pizzeria, but they built up a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in lieu of a tip, he suggested that they split a lotto ticket and each of them could choose 3 of the 6 numbers. And that would replace her tip for
Mm-hmm.
the day. And the ticket won $6 million. And he kept his promise. And so, the film is inspired by this, but it is very well noted that Phyllis and Robert were very happily married. Like they didn't end up together.
Yes, and I did see that in the credits.
Yeah.
There's a big block of text that's like, hey, they don't love each other. Just to be super clear, they are happily married. And I was like, okay, no problem.
You know, it's interesting you said or you felt that Nicolas Cage's performance as Charlie Lang in this felt like a flex because me watching it now
Mhm.
and after talking about Nicolas Cage this month, I kept looking for him to have explosions. And he does. Like, he's so kind-hearted, and I do get the Jimmy Stewart thing until he has, like, his fuse explodes.
Yes.
You know, when the tension happens with his wife wanting all of the money, and then also kinda gets physical with her too.
Grabs her arm in front of lawyers and
Yeah,
yeah.
not good. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know if obviously watching this as a kid, I probably didn't pick up on that. And because this movie to me was always my Nicolas Cage connection to him, I always
Mhm.
just thought of him as like, oh, he's a leading heartthrob.
Right. Right.
And then I was very, you know, my eyes were
Yeah.
very focused in on that part. Does it work for you? What he's doing in this
Yeah,
movie?
absolutely.
Yeah.
He's so quiet and in pain.
Yeah.
Some of the reviews that I read and listened to, they just focused on like, oh, this is not realistic. This is stupid. I was like, okay, well, it's a movie. None of it's realistic. Or like, oh, this wouldn't happen. It's like, well, this did happen.
Right.
I mean, look, you know, you as Michelle, you're eating at a diner, you realize you don't have money for a tip. You say to the waitress, hey, I'll split this lottery ticket. And then you win that night. Are you going to give it to her?
Absolutely.
I agree. I do
Anthony and I, we
too.
had this talk because Aunt watched this with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, if you didn't uphold your part of the bargain, like if he went and made this wager, I would make him. I'm very much a person who believes in karma,
Mm-hmm.
but also it's just the right thing to do.
Now, look, people will listen to this and they might think that we're saying that because it's the nice thing to say.
I promise you, it's not.
No, like, I just can't imagine saying to someone, like, I'll split this lottery ticket with you. And then you win and you don't actually do it. Like, of course you have to.
Now, I have to interject. When we watch this scene, him and his partner, Bo, Charlie and Bo, go in to the coffee shop where Yvonne is working. She is the waitress. And they get 2 cups of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And they order and they quickly get called to an incident. And so they have to leave. And so he has money to pay for the cups of coffee, but he doesn't have enough money for a tip. Now, me as an adult watching this who can't help but think logically, I'm like, why didn't we just ask Bo for a tip? I get that Bo was like, you get this one, I got last time. But I'm like, why didn't we just ask our buddy for money? But I'm like, Michelle, you gotta just let it go.
Yeah, and then, you know, because then you wouldn't have a movie.
Oh, right. Sometimes I'm like Debbie Downer. You know,
Yeah.
the Rachel Dratch on SNL, that character's like,
Well, yeah, I think we all do it to a degree, and we're all hypocritical about it because the movies that we don't do it, and it's not. I won't even say we don't do it on the movies that we like because I think we do it to the movies.
I just did it.
Right,
You know?
exactly.
Right.
But it's like the movies that we don't do it to. When someone else does it, you're like, please, like you're missing the point. But then you kind of can't help it. So for me, I had no resistance to this premise. You know, like I wasn't like, that doesn't make sense. Or he wouldn't actually give someone $2 million because I was like, yeah, that's what I would do.
Right.
And like, yeah, okay, I'm a millionaire now. Let me buy a garbage bag full of tokens, subway tokens. Sure, that seems like something kind of fun and funny.
Yeah.
And why not? Who cares, you know?
Yeah. So Charlie's married to Muriel, played by Rosie Perez, which is so exciting because we talked about her performance in our episode on Do the Right Thing.
Yes, and that was like her first big role, you know, and
I don't know. I think I'm alone in this after reading a lot of reviews. I love her character. She's
yeah, I think you're alone in that.
Listen, she's extremely entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I know she never evolves throughout the film. She's chasing money. She's losing money. Is she a villain or is she just misunderstood? Or do I just get a kick out of her? It could be all the things.
I think that the movie is vilifying her 100%. Like, I think that the intention of the movie is to be like comparing and contrasting her with Charlie and her with Yvonne.
Yeah.
They're just very, very, very different. Charlie is the super, super generous one where Muriel is like, I want to have money. She says that, right? When she's doing hairdressing at the
Oh,
beginning,
yeah.
she says, yeah.
I'm a person who needs money.
Yeah, I'm a person who needs money. Charlie isn't a person who needs money. So that's a really big contrast in a relationship.
Huge.
What do they say? Top 3 reasons why people get divorced or like problems in marriage: money, sex, and children.
That sounds right to me.
I'll throw children in there because
What else could it be?
I don't know.
Makes me want to say real estate. That's not right.
But like, money is huge, and like if you're not on the same wavelength with money, it's very difficult. He doesn't understand why Muriel is the type of person who needs money. And we don't even know why. We don't really get a chance to know her, but I didn't like her. Like, I like Rosie Perez and I think that she's funny, so in that way I liked her, but you like her.
I like her, but again, this might just be a nostalgic tie to her. Because I have most of my memories from this film is quoting her. So
Okay.
something resonated with me. 7-year-old Michelle watching this. I just love Rosie Perez. I mean, so much so I brought it up on our episode of Do the Right Thing.
Yes.
I was like, I know Rosie Perez from Do the Right Thing, from It Could Happen to You.
It Could Happen to You, yes.
Yeah. And so they're in an unhappy marriage. And I do like that we get a little bit of background. They've been together since high school. Just because you're in an unhappy marriage, and obviously Charlie develops a relationship with Yvonne, played by Brigit Fonda, but does this warrant for the no dates? Does this allow for you to just hang out as friends? This is emotional cheating, even if both parties involved in the marriage are unhappy.
Yeah. And she's married too, legally.
Yeah. Yes,
she's
she is.
legally still married too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think for sure that there's unquestionably emotional cheating happening here. But it's a movie that's really trying to get you to like root for the happiness of the two main characters and root for the demise of their, I guess, just less desirable counterparts.
Sure, like these pairings, Eddie and Yvonne, Muriel and Charlie, they're mispaired.
One thing I wanted to happen and I kind of thought was going to happen was that Muriel and, is it David?
Eddie.
I thought maybe Muriel and Eddie would end up together.
That's funny, but Eddie doesn't have money, so that would never happen.
Yeah, but he's kind of like, he's like all the things that Charlie isn't,
Yeah.
He's very like, wing, bang, boom, 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 like I was like, oh man, maybe they'll be at court at the same time and he'll like whisk her off her feet and she'll be like, oh. I liked the way that it ended because Seymour Cassell, I always pronounce his name as Cassell, Seymour Cassell. I love him. Love him so much. He's fantastic in the film In the Soup with Steve Buscemi, and he also plays Max's dad in Rushmore. He's just got such a interesting charm. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but he's not like Pierce Brosnan suave.
Right.
Like, but he's got like the charm of Pierce Brosnan, but in the body of Seymour Cassell. Like confidence, like like such confidence. Yeah, I loved. I didn't know that he was in this, so when he showed up, I was like, oh yes, give me more.
Did you think that that Muriel and him were going to end up together?
No, I thought it was more like she's kind of found her crowd.
Yeah.
And she's just going to kind of leave Charlie behind. I knew like once she starts spending, like she buys the fur coat.
Yes.
That gets paint thrown on them.
That was actually Emily Deschanel who throws the paint.
Oh, very cool.
This is like her first on-screen role.
Yeah, their dad is the cinematographer for this. Once that happens, I'm like, oh yeah, she's leaving him behind. Like,
yeah,
she's not interested in the life that they have before they have the money, so she's not gonna return to some kind of simplicity with him.
Right. And so I also couldn't help but wonder, how much time is going by and how
Mhm.
much money is actually being spent.
Yeah.
So they had to split the earnings. Okay. They had to
Yeah.
split the earnings and they get 4 million. And so 2 million go to the Langs, 2 million will go to Yvonne as promised. Today, that is worth over 8 million.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it's still a good amount of money, but like we're renovating the whole apartment. Muriel
It's
gets her boobs done with like
yeah.
no downtime. Like that takes, you got to rest for
There's
that.
recovery time.
Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah. I mean, Yvonne buys her coffee shop
And redoes it
and
all and
redoes it. So I'm like,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, the
Money is being
time
spent, time
in
passing.
in one way it feels like the time is like 3 days,
Yes.
but it also could be like 3 months.
Right. And that's what I
Yeah.
think generally it is. It's over the
Yeah.
span of a couple of months, 2 to
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah, Yvonne, she doesn't say like, "Oh, I hate my life, I'm going to disappear." She like doubles down and buys the restaurant. And because the money was given to her, she makes it so that there's a seat so that people can eat if they're hungry, which is really nice. And again, it's like a contrast with the old owner who was like, I'm docking your pay."
What is the deal with Sal and why is he wearing a white doctor's coat?
I don't know. I hated that guy.
Oh,
I
he's
was
the
like,
worst. But I'm like, what's up with this dude?
well, it was weird because she shows up late
Yeah, because
and
she
he's
was in
like,
court because she
right. But
she's now
he's like,
bankrupt.
well, that's coming out of your pay. And I'm like, yeah, of course it is. Am I to believe that this waitress in New York City in 1994 is on salary? Like, of course she's making hourly wages. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and at that time, she's probably making $1 an hour, because you're making tips and stuff. So, but yeah, everything was just like, this is coming out of your pay. And I hate when bosses say stuff like that. It's illegal, folks, just so you know.
What did you think of Yvonne and Brigit Fonda's performance?
I didn't like fall in love with her, like I wasn't like, oh, she's so dreamy, or oh, she's such a nice catch, or you know what I mean? Like I wasn't like, oh, I hope that they end up together because I really like her. I like that she gave food to homeless people, but beyond that, I don't know. I wasn't overly impressed with her personality, I guess I
I
should
know,
say.
that's such a good point. We just see her doing she's kind of just a stand-in for contrast of Muriel.
Yes, yeah, you get
Muriel is
so much
so
more
over the top.
Muriel. Yeah,
Yeah.
and this is like an old-fashioned, just classic Hollywood, like the shop around the corner kind of a story where you've got your two leads, and the two leads are very charming and nice, and then you've got the bickering people and the mother-in-law character or the landlord character who's always like, "Hey, you owe me money!" Like, it's all very much that in a modern setting. I felt like Bridget Fonda didn't bring enough to it. But it was also fine. Like it's
Yeah.
competently done. It's just not terribly interesting.
Yeah. I felt the same about Bo, played by Wendell Pierce, who's Charlie's partner.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's not a main character, but also he's just kind of there to showcase that Charlie is a good guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
understand. This has nothing to do with his character, but Charlie gets kicked out. Muriel kicks him out, so he goes to stay with Bo and his family. And Charlie has to sleep on a cot on the floor, not on the couch, cot on the floor with a sleeping bag
Yeah.
as a blanket. And Charlie doesn't even open it. You're telling me they don't have any other blanket in the house?
They're poor NYPD cops.
No way. No way. I know this was done on purpose for comedic effect, but I'm like, this is a little ridiculous. So these different dates we go on between Yvonne and Charlie. I guess the first one we could talk about is they're both invited to the Millionaires Cruise.
Dude, come
What?
on.
Is this a thing? Millionaires Club
The
Cruise?
New York State Millionaire Lottery, like the banner, like yeah, it's specifically for like people who won the lottery. I gotta tell, like I would not be caught dead at something
No.
like that.
No. But,
I'd be like,
Muriel, she
please.
goes on the boat. Charlie joins her, and then Charlie sees Yvonne is getting out of a cab, and there seems to be an issue. And so he gets off the boat,
Mm-mm.
greets Yvonne. okay, the boat takes off, they miss it. And so they decide to eat dinner together. And this is where the romance escalates between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. I do like his line when he gives the cab driver the money and he's like, repeat after me, keep the change. And I was like, yeah, that's a good outlook on life.
Yeah.
And just to also be like, hey, look, you have money now. Like, you don't need to worry about giving exact change to the cab driver.
But when you're not used to having money, I can
Yes.
understand the fact of holding on to it very
Yeah.
tightly, especially since you just went bankrupt.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I wonder if she could reverse that bankruptcy. Because when you declare bankruptcy, it takes a long time to recover from that. So even if she's got the cash, like, yeah, I mean, this is a fictional character and I'm worrying about her state of bankruptcy.
Well, yeah, this is what I'm saying. This is what happens when you watch it as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you don't, and it's just me where I'm like thinking logistically about how all this works out.
Oh, I'm thinking, of course, I'm thinking about taxes.
Yeah.
They had to split the ticket with a bowling team. Which one of the guys is on The Sopranos, or he's just a famous Italian guy?
Yeah. Big pussy. Mm-hmm.
He's there for a little bit. $64 million, and then they have to split it. So I'm assuming that the $4 million is after taxes, because she asked them on the phone, like, does the bowling team count as one or is it 8? And I think they say it's only 1, unless there were other people. I don't know, because there are a lot of people when they go to take the picture with the big check.
Yeah.
It seems like there's like 30 people in that room.
Yeah. And that would make sense if for them to only get 4 million of it.
Yeah. But with lottery taxes, my God.
Right.
If you win $100 million, like, I think you'd end up with something like 40.
Yeah.
You know, it's really extreme, but it's also $40 million. You know, who cares? But
yeah,
I kept thinking about all these logistics. Why are you renovating your apartment?
I mean, not only we gutted the whole apartment. So Charlie ends up with all this time on his hands because he gets shot.
Okay.
we have the robbery scene. How do I transition into that? Take it away, Seth.
This is insane. Like, you got this totally normal, straightforward movie. There's like one mention of police brutality when Hey Sue, his little little rascal friend. Like, Nick Cage is playing with the little rascals throughout this movie.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't want money. He doesn't want to be corrupt. He just wants to come home and play stickball before being called in for dinner.
It's the simple things in life.
Yeah. And so you've got this totally normal, straightforward movie, and then you get like a hostage situation, gun, throwing a soup can at someone's face. Which, it's pretty wild. This scene was very interesting.
A choice, right?
Mm-hmm,
there are a lot of choice scenes, but yes, this one for
well,
sure.
they're like just really good cops, I guess, because he very calmly leaves, and he's like, "Hey, our favorite grocery guy is being robbed." And Bo's like, "Oh yeah," and he's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "All right, I'll call for backup. I'm going around back," and it's like, wow, these guys
they're on it. Yeah, and so he gets shot, and so obviously he has to take time off. And so he has all this time on his hands, and Muriel's busy renovating. And so back at the dinner that him and Yvonne are having while the cruise is taking place, he says, like, if you ever feel like hanging out and you don't want to be alone, give me a call.
Yeah.
And like, yes, I'm rooting for them, but also I'm like, this is so ballsy. And throughout the movie, there are headlines. We have Isaac Hayes narrating. And so we know these two are being watched.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about these cute dates they go on. The first one up, they go rollerblading. And Charlie, not great at it. So he crashes into a pond in the park. And it's up to his knees. Like, what is happening here? Why? Why did we do this?
I wrote down in my notes, I was like, they're actually doing the I can't stop. Like, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, is this like Nick Cage in a Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen movie? Which, no shade to those movies,
Of
but like
course.
that's what is usually going on in those. And I was like, wow, we're really, really doing it.
Yeah. And so then Charlie's like, okay, my turn. I want to give
Mm-hmm.
out Subway tokens,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yep.
I do love this. And so a Subway token in 1994 was $1.25 was a ride. Today, that's $2.90.
Wow.
I love this. I would have done this. This is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And then my favorite scene is when they take the kids to the baseball field.
Yes. Yeah.
I love this so much.
Yes, it's very nice.
It's very nice, but I feel a
Obviously,
butt coming.
well, it's like obviously I don't know anything about baseball or,
We'll
but I
see.
imagine for these kids who are used to playing stickball with him, you know, that this would be very exciting.
And so, like I said, these headlines keep going, and New York is falling in love and tracking these two hanging out. And so
Mm-hmm.
Muriel kicks out Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And what's his little friend's name? Jesus?
Jesus. I don't think it's Jesus. I
Okay.
believe it's just Jesus.
Jesus sees him leaving, and he's like, "You got to stay at the plaza. You have money."
It's so stupid.
And then Yvonne, she gets her ex Eddie shows up asking for money, seed money for his new venture. And
Mm-hmm.
so she leaves and she's like, I'm going to go to the plaza too.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have another meet cute in the plaza.
So can we, before we get to the joined rooms or the conjoined rooms, I don't know what you call it.
Sure. Yeah.
Eddie, Stanley Tucci, I want to say is in a different movie. It's the same movie, but like he's just dialing it up. He's like sashaying around in a towel. I feel like I'm making this up, but it's almost like he's doing like floor gymnastic things around her apartment. Like that's the image I have of him. Like he's pole vaulting over her couch in a towel while holding like macadamia nuts. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's all
Yes.
like, hey, I'm back. Oh, you won money? Whoa.
Yes. And so Charlie's counterpart and Yvonne's counterpart are these exaggerated characters. And it's like, let's just take the basics and put them together.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And like they're more than just like evil, you know.
Right.
They're like personalities.
Yeah.
And where Charlie and Yvonne are like very good and generous and like no personality.
Right.
So they're the only crime that they really committed was being like, I don't know, dramatic.
I mean, did you think that Muriel had a point? Well, one, to divorce him. Yes, I agreed with that. But then to bring him to court and want all the money.
Well, I mean,
Not Yvonne, I'm sorry.
Muriel. No, you said Muriel.
Oh, I did? Okay.
Yeah, I think you said Muriel. I don't know.
Well, I meant Muriel.
I think once you're at that point, it really is like the lawyers taking over and taking control, you know?
Yeah.
Richard Jenkins, the great Richard Jenkins playing her lawyer. And, you know, if you present them with my husband, you know, we won the lottery and he gave half of it to a random person and now they're going on dates together. The lawyer is going to be like, no. Like, clearly they were cheating on you. You have grounds for blah, blah, you know, all of that stuff. So it makes sense, like, factually, but it is thematically like the extra twist of the knife because, again, you know, thinking of it from Muriel's side, it's not the generous thing, it's not the right thing to do, but you have a right to the money that you won in the lottery, you know.
Yeah. And then the topic of discussion that arises is who actually is the rightful owner of this ticket?
Well, that part is nonsense. That
Is it
part,
who picks the numbers? Even if someone else told you, like, hey, I want you to go buy a ticket. These are the numbers. You get the numbers wrong by one, but you're the person who actually bought the ticket.
Well, how the lottery actually works is whoever is the ticket holder that is so you're supposed to like endorse your lottery tickets.
Right.
Because if your ticket floats away in the wind and someone picks it up, well, they now have the ticket. And so I feel like it's Charlie's money, really. He bought the ticket and he's the one who put the numbers in that won.
Right. But like you said, the lawyers built a good case
Right.
to be like, hey, well, look, there's like obviously cheating going on. And he just grabbed your arm in front of me. Clearly there's
Right.
physical abuse.
Yeah. And now she's saying that he had been abusing her.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, no, there's definitely two. I would love to see this movie from Muriel's standpoint,
Yeah.
where she's growing up in New York City, probably not wealthy, working, dressing hair. Her husband's a cop. They have an apartment, and then they win the lottery, and he loses his mind, and now he's giving money away. And I think that there's enough there that they lose the case, and obviously that leads to like the bigger reveal of the film. But yeah.
Before we get to the bigger reveal,
Mhm.
I do want to go back to the plaza
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and talk about their rooms. Okay.
Yes, the rooms.
Yeah. So we get to the plaza. Both of them are like, oh my God, you're staying here. I'm staying
Yeah.
here. Now, they're led upstairs to their rooms. They go the opposite ways, yet their rooms are connected.
The rooms are just so big that they occupy an entire floor. I don't know.
What was your deal with this? Did you have a problem?
No, oh no,
Oh.
no. I was on board. I'll tell you when we get to the end. I'll tell you the one thing that I wasn't on board with.
Okay.
But I was on board with all of this. I was like, they're definitely getting together at the end of this movie. By this point, right?
I feel
like-
I feel like that is pretty obvious from the beginning.
I know that this is a rom-com, but like I said, when I started it, I didn't know that. I was thinking of it more as like a caper, not a caper, but like just like, oh my gosh, $1 million. There's other like big spending movies.
Yeah.
Blank Check is one.
Yeah.
Brewster's Millions is another. Did you ever see Brewster's Millions?
No.
That's a really interesting one. With
We should do
Richard
Money
Pryor.
Month.
Money Mud Month?
No, just Money Month. But I like it.
Yeah, Money Month would be good,
Richie
actually.
Rich.
Richie Rich, Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems.
Oh my gosh. Wow. But anyway, what I loved about this is that they didn't beat around the bush. Will they, won't they, will they, won't they? Like, they're in the room, they're talking about $100 robes, and you as the audience can feel it. And then he just goes in to kiss her.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, thank you. Like, finally, a movie just lets people kiss and get together before the final 30 seconds of the movie. Because that would have really annoyed me.
Yeah, and we build on that, which I like. They go through tension after the court, after the case is done and they lose.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's this tension of will they, won't they? And then ultimately, Charlie's like, I don't care about the money. I just want to be with you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so the city of New York falls in love with the fact that these two are together and they lost all their money.
Yeah.
All due to the fact of the reporting of Angel, played by Isaac Hayes, our narrator, who has been dressing up as undercover, taking pictures.
Only once.
Twice, I thought he was in that at that
No,
table.
No, only once.
But he has been taking pictures of them on his little spy camera.
But we don't know that until the end.
Okay.
You and I this week, as I mentioned earlier, we finished our Seventh Heaven series, right? If you're unfamiliar, Seventh Heaven was a TV show about a pastor and his wife and their children and the antics that they got up to. It is a horrible show.
Awful.
And in the final season, they introduced like a literal guardian angel character played by Keith David. And he shows up in the final episode that Michelle and I covered. And we hated it. Like we were talking about it, all the problems with it, how silly it was. And then I sit down to watch this and I'm like, oh my God, they're doing this thing again. Because, like, his name is Angel. He's following them around, observing, but never really talking. And I'm like, I am going to, like, throw a remote through this TV if we're doing another, like, magical black man angel thing, right? Because
Yeah.
there's this trope in movies. So much so that last year a movie came out, the Magical Society of American Negroes or something like that, and it's about this trope of the magical black man who shows up in the movie to, you know, fix all the problems, and there's just a little something special about this guy. So as I'm watching It Could Happen to You, I'm like, okay, I like this movie. I like this movie. And then Isaac Hayes would just kind of be like lurking. And I was like, please do not do this. They lose everything. They go to the cafe diner thing. They have a good little speech.
Mhm.
Oh, you lost everything because of me. I have you because of you. I was like, okay, this is good. And then Angel shows up wearing just the most ridiculous wig that you've ever seen. And I'm like, oh my God, this is an angel testing them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm done with this movie. Like, I hate this movie now, actually. Come to find out, he's a reporter and he's taking pictures of them. And then he starts like a GoFundMe, basically. And this is when I start to cry.
Wow. Okay.
And I was like, oh my gosh, actually, now I love this.
Yeah.
I love this movie.
Yeah. So the city of New York feels for them and just
Yep.
and just sends the money. And so they get over $600,000.
And I wasn't like mad because I'm like, I hate any movie with an angel in it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Angels in the Outfield. Great movie.
Great.
I just thought that this was like a dumb device. And I thought it ended up being actually pretty smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, obviously I can't ask you.
Yeah.
Do you remember, you know, the first time that you saw this twist? But yeah.
Ant said it to him. It felt like an M. Night Shyamalan style twist.
Yes. Like, it's like, I guess because, and they're definitely playing on you because his name is Angel. Like,
Right.
he's not like, my name's Harry, and you're like, I wonder if this guy's an angel. Like, they know that this trope exists, and they make you think it's one thing, and then it turns out to be something completely different. Because there's no indication prior to that he's a reporter.
Right. Yeah, we just keep seeing headlines and throughout the movie.
It's been Angel all along.
It's been Angel all along.
Touched by an angel.
Seth is still dying to do that show.
Oh my God, I want to do that show so bad. But yeah.
So on the ending, I was reading Jane Anderson, the writer, and pitching this movie. And she says, I knew that as her story was, the idea wouldn't sell. So in the end, she didn't want them to end up with money.
Okay.
But she knew that executives felt that in order for a film to be satisfying, the characters had to have money. Okay. So she thought to herself, how can I have the cop and the waitress have money in the end, yet still relate what I want to say, which is that generosity of heart is what counts in this life. I gave it a different ending, which was the cop and the waitress lose all their money to the greedy wife who sues them for everything they have, and then every New Yorker fell in love with the cop and the waitress's story. Here's that, they're penniless, and every New Yorker gives them $1. They end up with $10 million again.
Okay, yeah, that would be good too.
Well, that's what happens.
Yeah. Well, they don't end up with 10 million.
But they end up with money.
Yeah.
Because
right.
people have to end up with money for some reason.
Yeah, I don't think people have to end up with money for some reason, but in this type of movie, I do think they do. Like, I think that it kind of ties everything together, and it's better that it's not millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like 600,000, that's enough to maybe like they buy back the restaurant and they're just like working again. But yeah, I think it's, I don't know. What do you think? Do you wish they didn't end up with money?
No, I do like that the city of New York reaches out and they receive letters, and I'm okay with that, I guess. And then at the end, we get the wrap up of Muriel. She ended up marrying Mr. Gross, who took all of her stuff, and she ended up back with her mother with no
Jack
money.
Gross. Yeah. Yep.
So I was workshopping something, and I
Sure.
really felt like I was onto something, and then I fell flat. So maybe you can help me out.
Okay.
Okay. So I felt like this movie did a really good job of showcasing love languages.
Whoa. Okay.
Okay. So acts of service would be Charlie.
Yep.
Quality time would be Yvonne.
Okay.
Receiving gifts would be Muriel.
Yes.
Now, this one might be a stretch.
Okay.
Words of affirmation, the city of New York.
Okay.
And then I didn't have one for physical touch. And this is where I was like, man, if I was writing a listicle, this would be the fail of it.
Interesting.
I felt so good about the others.
Okay, so let me think here. Acts of service would be Eddie because he wants the money to start his acting thing. So that's one.
So you mean you would put Charlie with physical touch?
Let's put Yvonne with physical touch. In the diner, she says, "No one has ever loved me before."
Wow. So we're just changing up all my things. Okay. This
Well,
is a
I'm just trying to make it fit. I'm just trying to make it fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's 2. Muriel is
Receiving gifts.
I mean, come on. Yeah, she's definitely gifts. So what's left? Words
Quality
of affirmation
time
and quality time. Charlie might be either one. Well, Charlie does say maybe Charlie is touched because he says to Muriel, he's like, "When's the last time I came home from work and you like hugged me and asked me how my day was?"
Yeah. I just felt like he was acts of service because he loves doing things for other people.
Well, with love languages,
I know.
there's how you give and how you receive are two
That's
different.
true. That's true. So physical touch, okay, could go to Charlie. We don't have to spend time on this. I just felt so good about
If
it.
you're
And then
if you're listening to this and you think that Michelle and I are like really big like love language people, like this is not what every episode is about. But no, I think that there's enough. The problem is that there's 4 main characters. So you have to throw a fifth. So you have to throw Bo in there.
I was like, where does but Bo just wants gifts too? He just wants season tickets.
It's true. Maybe Bo is time because
Quality time? Yeah, okay.
Because Charlie and Bo spend time together walking around, walking the beat. Or you throw Jesus in there and he's time, quality time.
Yeah.
Or you throw Jack Gross. You throw Jack Gross. He's crime, I guess. Quality crime.
Quality crime. We could just rewrite the love languages.
Oh.
What's a clever way of opposite of love language?
Come
on, Seth GBT.
Hate. What's the opposite of language?
Silence? No.
Noises?
Because that's a language.
Hate silences?
Hate silences?
Well, anyway. I think that you just have to figure out
right?
who your 5th character is and then.
Know. Yeah. Do you have anything else?
I just want to mention the very ending when we go up in the hot air balloon and we're like just throwing all these hearts out. It's so corny. But again, I was along for this ride. So to me, I was just like, yeah, sure, man. This is cool. It's horrendously littering, which is not cool.
That's my crappy. Spoiler alert. This movie ends on littering.
Yeah.
I am at a 10 and I am red. That's my crappy.
Yeah. I'm very anti-littering.
Oh.
I used to have a crush on a girl in high school, and she told me one time that she littered, and I was like, I'm done.
I had a friend. We have a mutual friend.
Oh, no. You can't tell me who it is.
In high school. They're better now. But they knew I hated littering so much. They would drive by my house, open up their sunroof, and just throw their fast food. Yeah, their fast food garbage in front of me. And I mean, littering. I can't even speak. Littering.
Literally.
It makes
literally
me
and littering together.
So angry. Like profanity comes out of my mouth whenever I see someone do it. I want them to be arrested. I would put them in a dungeon. Yeah, I hate littering.
So you didn't cry watching this?
No.
Wowee. Okay.
Mm-mm.
All right.
No. So the budget for this movie was $20 million. It made 47.7 at the box office.
Okay.
It has a 73% rating on Rotten Tomatoes,
Mm-hmm.
a 3.1 on Letterboxd,
Okay.
64 on Metacritic. It is not in the Criterion Collection or the National Registry.
Not super surprising.
Ebert gave this 3.5 stars.
There you go.
Wow. I was actually pretty shocked to read that. And production days for this is about 3 months.
Yeah, that's where the 20 million part I'm kind of confused about. Unless it just went to, salaries. But again, like Cage hadn't won an Oscar at this point, so
I don't know. I mean, I didn't dig deep.
maybe it costs a lot of money to rent out Yankee Stadium.
I was wondering, I'm like, that was Yankee Stadium, right?
Oh, I have no idea.
They're all wearing Yankee hats.
That could be Baltimore New Ravens. What is it?
I think
Baltimore Orioles.
Orioles. But isn't there a Ravens team? Oh God, our
The
listeners.
Baltimore Oreos.
Yum.
Yes.
All right, let's go over to our happies and crappies.
It's time for happies and crappies. Happies and crappies. It's time for happies and crappies. Happies and crappies. It's time for happies and crappies.
Okay, well, I already told you my crappy, which is the littering. So the very end of the film, I am not crying. I am seeing red.
Right.
But I'm not seeing
Turn
red
this off.
during the baseball scene with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I love this montage, so that's my happy for this movie.
Very nice.
You?
My happy is pretty much anything with Stanley Tucci in this movie. I wish there was more of him. Like, I kind of wish the movie was a little bit longer. And again, I want to live in a world where Muriel and Eddie end up together.
It'd be so
penniless,
funny together.
But, like bickering and whatever. And then my crappy, I don't really have a crappy because for the runtime, I thought I did, which was that Isaac Hayes was, an angel, and so that switcheroo leading into the flood of mail and the crying, I was just like, wow, this is so much better than I expected and thought it was as I experienced it. I don't really have a crappy. Like, to me, this isn't like a perfect movie.
Sure.
But it's like, what is there to pick at, really?
Right. This might be a movie Friends first. For you.
It might.
I have definitely not had crappies before. Well, no, that can't be true. I just feel like it's been a while.
I think I didn't have one for Magic Spot.
I don't think. Okay, anyway. Yeah. How about over on Twitter and Instagram? What did our friends think about this movie?
Okay. Now, I was excited to watch this.
Yeah.
Because it's your pick, childhood movie, Nicolas Cage movie I've never seen before. But this isn't, Con Air. This isn't National Treasure. This is a much lesser known movie. And what happened was, similar to the miracle in It Could Happen to You, the floodgates opened miraculously. And I believe we got more responses for It Could Happen to You than any movie we've ever done.
No.
I swear to God.
That's insane because...
Like, I can't read them all. Like, there's just too many to read.
That makes me so happy. I can't even describe the feeling because obviously I grew up with this, but I guess I was watching it alone since my mom and sister don't recall watching it with me. And none of my friends watched it with me. And Anthony's never seen it. And you've never seen it. Aunt never even heard of it. And I was like, so it's just a lone Michelle in 1994 watching this movie. And then on repeat, I guess. So wow, there was other people out there like me.
Yes, a lot.
Wow.
I mean, like, yeah, like think about it. Like we've put out the call for comments for like The Godfather 2, and we get like 3 responses, or like huge.
Yeah.
People were, I was gobsmacked, like truly, like, and I was like all ready to be like, oh man, we're gonna go into this episode with like 2 people responding. Anyway, so
Wow. Watch it be all negative talk.
no. Okay, Arthur, Free Palestine watermelon emoji.
Hey, friend.
At Arthur_Ant18. He's the host of the 2 Cents Critic podcast, and I've been a guest on there a few times.
Hey, look at that.
He says, I had a decently fluffy time with this last year.
A decently fluffy time.
Especially since there's so much endearing chemistry between Cage and Fonda. I will say, though, Rosie Perez deserved better than to get shoved into the one-note stereotyping for her character. And I think again, the movie is trying to do that.
Yeah,
I
understand.
But she is like acting her way out of a cage in this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
It's very silly, but she's Rosie Perez. Like, she's eating it.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like that?
Yes, she's my favorite.
Felicia at Cinnamoroni, she says, I've never seen this, but I trust Michelle's opinion.
Oh, thanks, friend.
You got the Felicia seal of approval.
Stamp it on my forehead.
I don't think I've ever even gotten that. Ian Smart at Dr. Ego Trip
Ooh.
says, the movie rules with a storybook ending and a very odd rom-com couple. Fonda is so likable, and Cage has never been more normal.
Right.
I really dig it. Nick at Bad Movies We Love. Nick's the host of the podcast Bad Movies We Love.
Yeah.
He says, surprisingly, another one of my formative Cage flicks before he became the highest paid actor in Hollywood briefly. This one and City of Angels may make it to the rom-com-a-thon if I get a turn. My mama raised me right.
Wow, nice.
Newman at Movies for Days, at Movies Days with a Z, says, kind of in It's a Wonderful Life ending for the 90s. Good-natured, magical realism infused with Christopher Durrain-esque consumer product-loving dialogue. Cute and charming, a great cast. The shower conversation was a very creative bit of direction.
Yes.
And then he says that they covered it in depth on his show. He did a series called Rage for Cage, and they did this number 2.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
Now, I quote tweeted the Movie Friends tweet and said, this is a lesser seen film, so if you have seen it, you are legally obligated to respond. Which I do a lot, and still nobody really cares. So this person was responding to that statement that I said. Can I kick it? Black heart emoji. At It's Ya Boy Krista.
I love it.
I love that name, yeah. Here to fulfill my legal obligation. I remember thinking it was funny, sweet, and totally unrealistic. LOL. Butterfly H at Michelle M. Kaufma1 says, watched this for the first time last weekend. Not a fan of Cage, but this was one he was right for the part. Liked their love story and how they were not really into the money. Their exes stole the show.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Cole at Cole, Scott.
Oh, missed you. Scott. I love it so much.
Says, saw it in the theater at the age of 8 for some reason, LOL, but has got to be the most normal guy Cage has ever played on screen. Maybe only one outburst, and it's relatively controlled if memory serves.
Yes, you are right.
I'll read 2 more. Okay. Melissa at Melissa's profile says, it's so funny to get old and realize that because this is one of those movies I assumed was an enormous hit because my parents rented it at Blockbuster or Jumbo Video. And I've had that too. Like, you have this idea of like, oh, that was a huge movie. And then you grow up and you're like, oh, in my house.
Right. In my country of life. Yeah.
All right. And then Matt Campagna, clapboard emoji.
Nice.
At Macadamia says, this movie is so good that I frequently paraphrase its title to Melissa Daggs, saying, it will happen to me very deliberately when I'm excited about something.
Oh.
Like I am about rewatching It Could Happen to You.
That's so cute.
So yeah, our mail slot of movie friends just
Wow.
got overwhelmed.
Well, thank you so much. I'm shocked.
Me too.
Like truly, wow. That's great.
Yeah. Now we're gonna ask for insight into Jurassic Park, and we'll get 2 responses.
Right. That's right. Well, thanks, friends. Let's go to our segment where we hear from people we don't know. It's called Half Star, 3-Star, 5-Star. These are reviews from letterbox.com, which is an app and a website where you can log, rate, and review movies. We start with a half-star review, which is the lowest rating you can give a movie, and we go all the way up to a 5-star review, which is the highest rating you can give a movie. And as always, Seth is going to read our half-star review. I am requesting you do it in a New York accent.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want me to do it as Rosie Perez?
No, I just want you to do it as like a New Yorker from Yonkers.
Charlie. Officer Charlie. Is that New York?
Can you not do a New York accent? My Long Island, like, it just came out. It just came out. My Long Island will come out, and I hear it on our show sometimes when I said, like, law last week for
Yeah.
Raising Arizona. I said,
The law.
The law. I say
Yeah.
dog, coffee, draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
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 All right. This movie is awfully annoying and unbearable to watch at times. Not sure what it was trying to be, as it started off as a poor attempt at being a romantic, charming type of comedy, and then just continues to get worse by turning into some kind of steaming pile with standout, awful performances by everyone involved. Rosie Perez takes the cake in the most annoying performance of her entire career.
Very good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'll call you Joey. That could be Joey.
I don't know. She's doing a bit.
Right.
She's doing a
It's a
character.
bit.
Just like Stanley Tucci. Like, again, like, he comes out of her shower with. They're both obnoxious. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Not sure what it was trying to be.
It's trying to be a romantic comedy
Yeah,
about
I think
people who
it's
win the
pretty
lottery.
clear.
It's
Yeah.
so straight. This movie, okay, here's a movie, friends, first. This movie is not. It's the most straightforward movie we've ever covered, possibly.
It's
You know
very
what I
it's very
mean?
linear. It's very easy to talk about.
Yes.
I
And look, there's a lot to talk about.
Sure.
It's not like, oh, there's nothing to this. But there's nothing hidden to this. You know what I mean?
No.
How do you not see what they're going for? Like you said, part of the way through the movie I realized that it was a romantic comedy. To anyone else, they probably picked up on that, immediately. So
And we even get the twist with Isaac Hayes not being an
Yes.
angel.
Yes.
Anyway,
whatever.
our 3-star review. I wish this was just showing the good heart of people and have it cut out all the court case stuff. Certain choices for the narrative were a bit iffy, like the narrator popping up every now and then to shake his head or make some comment on our protagonist. It's good and such an underrated Nicolas Cage film, just would prefer it if it was a short.
Preferred if it was a short.
Now, I
No.
took this as is. I don't know
Yeah.
if they meant a shorter film or if they literally meant I wish this was just a short.
I think they took it as a short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Okay.
5-star review says, I watched this in bed with my boyfriend last night and it made me realize if given the chance, I would ditch him for Nick Cage any day of the week. I adore Nick Cage. He is just my favorite. This movie just proves to me that good people are out there in the world. This made me laugh because I hope your boyfriend doesn't read that review.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think that this person probably told their boyfriend exactly.
I'd leave you for Charlie Lang.
Yeah.
All right. The time has come to reveal our ratings. We rate a movie as a schmovie, movie, or film. We also rate it 1 to 5 stars and give our final thoughts and recommendations. We both won last week.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, for Raising Arizona. So, Seth, why don't you go first?
Okay.
So, for you, I'm gonna tell you what I thought you were gonna rate this
Yep.
movie. I wrote down a 3-star movie.
Very close. 3.5-star movie.
Wow.
Close to being great. And it got me. It got me in the end, man. Like, I can see the parts where this movie would have been a lot more lively. Again, like Brigit Fonda, nothing against her. She's great in other stuff. Just need a little pizzazz there. But love anytime Seymour Cassell shows up. Love seeing this other side of Cage in the context of this month. Stanley Tucci rules. Rosie Perez rules. It's not a movie that challenges you, but it is a movie that touched me and made me cry. So I don't know when I'll put this back on again, but there's something to be said for the type of movie that, you know, your mom watches once every 6 months and it's just kind of always on. And that's what this kind of movie is. And that's special too. So 3.5-star movie for me.
Wow.
I recommend that you watch this if you're a fan of Nick Cage, or if you want to see an attempt at a classic era Hollywood romantic film done in a non-winking way.
Do you think this fits in well with other 90s rom-coms? Or you're not versed in that world?
Nope. This kind of, it doesn't have enough bite and enough grit and enough sex and enough, you know what I mean? Like, it's like everything is just kind of turned down just a little bit. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for you, and I was like, you know, childhood favorite, but now she's older. You know what I'm saying? I wrote down 3-star movie.
Ooh, so close. Also a 3.5 movie.
Oof.
For
Okay.
me.
So we both scored each
Yeah.
other a little under.
Yeah.
And we exceeded that. That's nice.
Yeah. So yes, this is a movie from childhood that I deeply enjoy and love. But to me, this is like a solid 3.5 movie.
Yes. Yeah. When you read the Letterboxd score of like 3.1, I was like, yes, it's 3.1, but it should be like a 3.1 that's etched in stone and like painted gold. Like,
yeah.
this should never dip below 3.
Yeah. I'm really happy that we got to cover this for Cage Month, because I don't know when we would have been brought
Money Month.
Money Month. Right. And honestly, this really sparked me because we covered Rosie Perez and Do the Right Thing. So that's the only reason I thought of this. But anyway, I am definitely recommending this. This is easy to watch. And while it is very simple to follow and it's not challenging you, I think it's a great movie for discussion because it brings up money versus happiness, kindness and fate. Does this love story hold up? Is it a fairy tale? I think there's a lot to talk about. Oh, relationships. So I think this is a good date movie. And I think it's a good movie club movie because there's lots of discussion to have with it. Okay, so we both rated this 3.5 stars. So on our pickle scale, that's a kosher deli.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Yum. All right, does this movie pass the Seth Shell test? So this movie must contain something tangible that is impressive, whether choreography, production design, or practical effect, and it must have a runtime that is justified by its content. What do you think?
For me, I would have said no on the impressive part until I found out that the diner, they built it from the ground up and that it was like a fully functioning diner. That's impressive. And I guess that's where the $20 million went. Don't know why they couldn't just find...
I didn't know that.
Some kind of... Yeah. It was apparently like an empty corner and they built a diner into it. And then after production, destroyed it.
That seems so silly.
Very silly, but okay, whatever. That's show business. So yeah, I was impressed by that, and I think that the runtime is great. So that would be yes for me.
Well, because I didn't know that knowledge beforehand, I voted no for this, but you just
Mhm.
changed my mind. So,
Hey,
yeah, that's really impressive. And I'm not bothered by the runtime. I think it's
there you
fine.
go. Hey, if you think we're fine, we'd love it if you give us a rating and a review wherever you're listening. You can also send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about It Could Happen to You. Please, if you watch this movie because of this podcast, it would mean the world to Michelle if you just drop a line.
I would love it. My birthday's next month. Nope. the this come the week this comes out, my birthday's Friday.
Okay.
Friends, if you watch this because of this episode, please let us know.
And hey, it can just be a simple subject line, Happy Birthday, Michelle. I watched It Could Happen to You. Or subject line, It Did Happen to Me.
That's great.
You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. $5 a month gets you access to all of our additional shows, our patron-only Discord, ad-free versions of all of our episodes. You get added to Michelle's Inner Circle, where you get to decode secret messages at the end of each episode. And you get to vote on monthly episodes and monthly themes, which leads us to next week's episode.
What are we doing?
I don't know yet.
Oh.
I was a little late on sending out the votes, and so their deadline is actually tomorrow.
So, it's a white airhead flavor.
There you go. That's right. Next week, boom. We'll find out what we're doing. But you and I will find out tomorrow.
All right. Well, that's it.
That's it. Good movie.
Good movie.
Yeah. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Seth. I'm so glad you enjoyed this and it brought you to tears.
Yeah. Me too. Well, hey, thank you very much for listening. And remember, folks, a promise is a promise. Till next time, have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Theme music by Jean Marie Vargas. Visit us at our website, moviefriendspodcast.com, and please subscribe and rate our show wherever you are listening. You can support Movie Friends at patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. Thanks for listening.
Incoming. Message incoming. Message to Michelle's Inner Circle. Remember, kids, only Michelle's Inner Circle can decipher this week's message. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready.
Message number 10. 94. 63. 46. 77. 57. 74. 33. 66. 73. 77. 52. 47. 89. 47. 34. 87. 93. 44. 76. 63. 46. 46. 53. 70. 72. 77. 54. 74. 76. 46.
Michelle is counting on you. Do not let her down.